I don't think they always get bigger. They just get freaky. You know?
Yeah, well, that was a good kind of freaky.
Freaky fish with arms or something. That, like,
That's more me.
Scare you. I don't know how it works. We move on to some happier news.
Okay, we're on Australian news.
We got Australian news for you because I'm sure you hear a lot of your news, and it is weird that we're just covering a story from El Paso, Texas. But
we're in Australia now.
On to Aleksa,
So-
what's happening?
Hottest ocean temperatures in 400 years, an existential threat to the Great Barrier Reef. So they recently, UN came out with a study. We have this study every couple of months, and it's always the same thing. It's like the study 1 month is like, this is the hottest temperature ever recorded in 1,000 years in the Great Barrier Reef. And then a month later, they're like, no, this is the hottest temperature in 1,000 years. And every single month we get a new one. I think it's kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah, imagine the Great Barrier Reef, but like a sauna.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you got beautiful coral, beautiful fish, like bubbling water. You're relaxing.
It would be so lovely. But I feel like this problem of white coral bleaching could be easily solved if they just banned white coral. Did they think of that?
Yeah.
They just ban white coral and then it's done. Problem solved. Also,
we might have a bit of a jobs crisis. We've got so many unemployed people. Why don't we send people down there to paint it?
paint the fucking coral.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's not alive. If it looks pretty, it's fine.
There's no reason people go there. And I can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, can't tell either. So this was your article?
Yeah.
Shows extreme temperatures would not have happened without greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels. Well,
Facts.
Fifth, coral bleaching. Well, I was in the Great Barrier Reef, and we were. It was funny because we went through areas where there was a lot of bleached coral, but then there are some kinds of coral that don't have much color in it. And when we were scuba diving, people would keep coming up. Like we traveled like 80 kilometers to like pristine reef. People would come up from the dives and be like, "Oh, it's horrible. All the coral's dead there." And I've never seen the captain of the boat get so annoyed. He was like, "Look, coral bleaching is happening, but that coral is alive and healthy." And he's like, "I'm so sick of these tourists coming here and saying that I'm showing them dead coral." He's like, "No, this is alive here.
This is what it looks like.
This is just what it looks like sometimes."
It's so funny. They just think the coral's ugly.
They just think it's ugly as well. It's so funny.
Poor coral. Imagine that.
Yeah, because someone's like, "You're fucking ugly." Well, do we have any other? Oh, we got other Australian news.
Oh,
Not really Australian news.
This is also like a news story that repeats every couple of months. I assume most of you have watched our Pine Gap video where we sneak into a CIA base.
I hope.
One big part of it is kind of outlining Australia's kind of role in America's empire. So we're kind of like the front lines in the war against China. Ever since when was it? Obama did the pivot to Asia, where he kind of changed America's international strategic policy and with a focus on China. And as soon as that happened, Australia got fucking whipped into shape.
Yeah.
Suddenly all these kind of politicians, before it was kind of mainstream to be ambivalent on China, to be yeah, they're a trading partner, we can coexist, blah, blah, blah. And overnight, everyone hated China. And there's just this one guy, Paul Keating, who's a former prime minister from the Labor Party. He he wasn't particularly fantastic when he was in power, but the one thing he does really well now is he's one of the only prominent public figures that goes out and says just normal things about China.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's just
Isn't there another guy as well? Does Bob Carr say all right stuff about
maybe
China?
it's Bob Carr as well. There's another guy. There's another guy as well. Paul Keating's just very...
But they're the only ones that don't want war with China. It's so fucking annoying.
It's so crazy. I think Kevin Rudd's also does good stuff on China too.
Yeah.
But it's very rare. There's a very small niche of people who will publicly say, let's not go to war with China.
Yeah.
Other than that, both parties, across the board, everyone's just our spiritual holy goal is to sacrifice ourselves in a war against China to make sure the US isn't unseated as the global hegemon.
Yeah.
That's what we were put on earth to do. That's all we can ever aspire to. And it's a glorious death to die at the very milliseconds into a global nuclear conflict that we've started.
Yeah. That's one someone pointed out. Tim Waltz also says okay things about China. I mean, that's why I that would be so nice. Just if we can have someone obviously they're still shit, but just someone that isn't pushing for war and just has nice rhetoric around other countries is so helpful. What's What was the big thing he was talking about, though? Just the fact that we're still
I don't know.
in AUKUS?
Yeah. So we signed up to this defense pack where we bought all these nuclear subs for our defense.
When do we get those nuclear subs, by the way?
I think it's like in 2035 or something.
Oh, we got them in 2020. Oh, 35.
Yeah. We got in 2035. We don't have the capabilities to run these things properly because we don't have nuclear power in Australia.
Yeah.
So we're going to need Americans at every point. We can't actually run these subs ourselves because we need, at the places where they do the maintenance, we need Americans to run that because we don't do nuclear. We pretty much just given up all our submarines. We've swapped them out and we're no longer in control of them. We bought American submarines to be operated by America.
Yeah, we need more bases. But we also get a new boat.
Oh!
A whole new boat, guys.
This sounds like a fucking...
But 3 years later than the subs.
And if you order now, we double it and you get a...
We'll chuck in a free boat.
It sounds like a fucking Expo Channel like advertisement.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you order before 2035...
But what's the point of having a boat? You get the subs that go underwater and now what, you're back on top
And
of?
is it a fucking nuclear boat?
Yeah, what the fuck?
But the one thing I like, all of this is horrendous. The one really nice thing about this is that when it got announced, there was a weird like reverse competition in Australia where they're trying to work out where we're going to put these like American nuclear ports that can service these machines. Yep. And obviously no one wants them. So like every city is pitching another city to do it. So like Brisbane's like, you know what? Like we'd love the nuclear port, but like we got lots of jellyfish here, a specific kind of jellyfish that actually like fucks up submarines.
Yeah.
And then do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they're like, we can't have it. What would be really good is Sydney. Sydney's really good. And
well, what they're doing is they're trying to be like, if China, they're like, China does attack. They're like, where are they going to get nuked? Why don't we put the submarines actually at Pine Gap? Why don't we put them there? Put them there in the middle of Australia, and then you have to spend a lot of money digging a trench to the ocean.
You know what's so nuts?
Someone said, where do the poorest people live? Yeah, put it in Bundaberg.
But one thing I'll say, I do want it in Sydney.
Why?
I do want it in Sydney. We do a lot of spearfishing.
Yes.
Do you remember when we did tourism, we went to North Korea, and then after that we went to Russia, and we took the Trans-Siberian across Russia. But one of our first stops was Vladivostok.
Yeah, and we went
out camping. We went camping on an island.
Was that called Ruski Island?
On Ruski Island, just off of Vladivostok.
Let me pull it up, because this is a pretty beautiful.
Yeah, fucking sick. So you got the city on one side, and you cross the bridge, and you get to this island. It just reminded me of Australia, really. It was fucking...
Yeah, this is where it was.
Beautiful. Yes, we were right there. We were right, like, before the edge of that last cliff.
Yeah, we were here. I got photos of myself jumping off these cliffs here.
So anyway, we were there, and we were camping, and we were, like, diving and collecting mussels.
Mussels and sea urchins.
Mussels and sea urchins. And because just in the bay, if you scroll in, there's a Russian Navy base on one of these islands, or like in the bay.
So Vladivostok was here. It was here somewhere. I don't remember where we were exactly.
I don't know where.
It could have been over here or over here.
Anyway, there's a Russian Navy base very close to this thing, which like famously is a lot of nuclear capabilities there.
Thank you for the 5 gifted sub, Kylie's class.
And what I realized with it's all coincidental potentially, but you got this very like high profile nuclear facility on the water, and you've got the biggest fucking mussels I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they were big.
They were like this fucking big, juicy, irradiated. They tasted so good.
Yeah,
they tasted like a fucking steak.
So what you're saying, you want our animals to be irradiated so you can get some bigger...
If we have a nuclear sub base in Sydney and we go spearfishing, can you imagine the meaty monsters we'd be catching?
But I don't think they always get bigger. They just get freaky. You know?
Yeah, well, that was a good kind of freaky.
Freaky fish with arms or something. That's
more meat.
Scare you. I don't know how it works.
I'm willing to take the risk.
So, is anyone else, the 3 countries, a signal to a trial series? That is good. But I think, I've said this before, if we're paying for a nuclear submarine, as taxpayers, we should get a go. Like, there should be a lottery system where every single year, every month, they just pick someone and they say, hey, you get to drive the nuclear sub or you get to drive the tank now because we paid for it. Let us fucking have a go. Like, it's so unfair.
And we're paying for it. I'm paying so much fucking money.
Yeah, let me press the button.
How much was like 600 billion? What was the fucking price of this thing? It was so much.
It was so much. Let me look through the periscope and like zoom in on something. How much did that cost?
Like, we're going to be fucking...
Jamie, can you look that up?
My fingers are greasy. Can you look it up, Jamie? Price. $368 billion.
For one? Another 8. No, you get 8. That's 8 for the price of one.
Yeah, and a free boat.
And a free boat. It could be like a fucking golden boat.
Yeah. It's fucking insane that we're paying to essentially build up America's military in our place and get nuked. It's insane.
Yeah, the boat's probably just like a dinghy.
Yeah.
Just a little.
No, you know what it is? We're investing in the friendship. That's the boat. It's the friendship.
The friendship.
Good. The friendship between Australia and America. That's the boat that we really want to be on.
Someone said that's like 30 Twitters.
Yeah.
Wait, Australia could buy Twitter and oh my God, and just make it like...
We could buy Twitter for the price of like half of one of the subs.
What the fuck?
And also we already had subs. We had a deal with France to make the subs that we could actually use, that we know how to operate, and we had to tear up the deal, and it fucking fucked up relations with France as well. It's just hilarious.
Well, so why do we need a fucking sub? What are we doing under the water?
Secrets.
Yeah, secrets.
All the secret stuff.
Just playing like mahjong or like illegal poker games under the water.
No, I mean, like, I can understand subs for national defense, you know, especially for an island. There'll be, if we're getting invaded, it'll be ships coming in, and subs are subs.
Someone said painting the coral. That's a fucking good idea.
For that money, we could have repainted the entire Barrier Reef and still had subs to spare.
And fucking turned it into an art gallery. People buy tickets. Great idea.